With me now is the Commissioner of the Mississippi Department of Corrections, Burl Cain. He worked in Louisiana for 4 decades and then came out of retirement to lead the Mississippi Department of Corrections. Mr. Cain says he didn't come to the state for money. He came to the right state for that. But help restore order and help inmates through a religious program. And it's religious, I guess that's, it's more of a spiritual program, but it's a religious program too. Is that right?
Right. We're seeking moral rehabilitation, so moral people won't steal your lawnmower. So you got to start with that to change people's lives. And so religion is the basis for it, and we don't care what religion. We just want you to be moral.
Yeah. This is something you instituted at Angola. Is that right, down in Louisiana?
It is. We built 9 churches at Angola. The big prison had all these different camps. So we built 9, and we saw a difference in the population immediately. We saw that they became more moral. We had less violence, and then they were more successful when they left prison.
How much trouble was that to sell this idea to the powers that be that, hey, I want to build churches here at this prison?
Well, we started the seminary first, and we have one here, and we have 105 students at Parchment that's going every day to New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, the Parchment campus. Yeah. And so we have to have a church for them to preach in and build churches, church groups. And so every religion, we don't care which one, we're looking for morality, but then that's where they go to have their church services and so forth and build their congregations. And so then we have more peace and harmony and cohesiveness in prison.
And this isn't just a theory. This worked out right before your very eyes for 4 decades in Angola. We
researched it with Baylor and Pepperdine, and we're doing actually a research project now at Parchment with Pepperdine and Baylor. They've been on site 2 years to prove again that this really does work. And this is moving across. This is in about 30 states now, but not the church building. The seminary is.
Okay.
The church building is unique to Louisiana and now to Mississippi.
Yeah. And this is different than having, say, a local pastor come in and do a church service on Sunday, when you've got the pastors of these churches are the inmates themselves. Is that right?
That's right. And so they have their congregation, and they fight each other for congregations, just like on the street, you know, and try to steal each other's. There's people that go to church. So anyway, it's kind of a unique thing, but it works.
Yeah. The pastors that you have, are these people who are already inclined toward the ministry, or when they get into prison, is this some kind of recruitment that goes on, or what?
No, the uniqueness is they go to 4 years and they get a degree that's accredited just like Ole Miss or Mississippi State. So they got a real degree, and the Mississippi Baptist Convention pays for it. There's no tax dollar spent here, and this program costs about $90,000 a year. But again, it's put up by the local churches, or the churches in Mississippi are paying for it. Now, the chapels we build, we have to raise that money. We have the Mississippi Prison Chapel Foundation, and that's separate. But we find that people donate for a building a lot quicker or faster, and I think now you're looking at one of our chapels, and this is the one at, I think this is at the CMCW.
Okay.
I can't really tell which one that is.
I think that it is. I think you're right, CMCW.
Yeah.
So you have a pastor now who's graduated seminary who is also an inmate.
Yes.
And so now he is going to, or she, I suppose, is going to pastor one of these churches. And these churches then are comprised of inmates at the various institutions around the state, but they got to have a church. They need to have a building.
They have to have a building, have church. And they use it for 2 hours, and the next group comes in, the next group. And I think at MCIW, we had this past weekend almost 300 different inmates in church with an inmate pastor, because we have a women's seminary as well. And so that's working really good. And so now we have 3 of these churches are completed, and one at Parchment, one at SMCI, one at MCIW. And then we have 2 more. The slabs are poured, and then we have 2 more with plans. So we'll have 7 when we get through.
And you need help doing those, because you obviously can't use federal money or state money to do that.
No, it's private dollars.
So this is where we can kind of help out. We can help build these by making a donation. And who does the donate? Who do they need to make out a check to? Who do they need to call?
They make it to the Prison Chapel Foundation. It's David McNair is the chairman of it, and that's businessmen that are the Chapel Foundation. And so that's the Parchment Church there.
Okay.
And this is inmates in the church. These are large buildings. They're seat about 300, and We can crowd in a few more if the fire marshal isn't watching. But anyway, we try to stay within the law. But they're big, fine buildings, and that's just what the churches are. And so David McNair, head of the Prison Chapel Foundation, you see the phone number there. Any donations are appreciated. And all this money is raised locally. This is local folks doing this, and obviously you can write it off. It's a tax, it's a nonprofit.
But Burl, you've seen this change lives.
Oh, it does. I've seen it change lives. I see Mississippi's safer, but the uniqueness is when these guys get out of prison, they go back and start churches in areas that we can't go. And so they go back into the inner cities and so forth, and they plant churches there. So we're seeing revival from this process happening all across the country that we wouldn't normally see.
It's coming from like the inside out.
It is coming from the inside out.
And I think one real quick anecdote there that in Angola, there was such a turnaround that there was actually a ban on profanity, not imposed by the institution, but imposed by the other inmates on other inmates. And if somebody got caught cussing, they had to do 10 push-ups.
That's right, they had to do push-ups. And we're getting that way in Mississippi right now. See, CMCF, they have a ban on profanity. They told me today, so we're getting there. Prisons are getting safer.
All right, so anyway, let's take down that telephone number. Take this back to your church, take it back to your Sunday school class on this coming Sunday morning, and let's talk this thing up and let's get this bill. Burl, thank you for coming out today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
that.